let's start with the session. Today we'll just try to have the revision of what we discussed already. We'll be starting with simple linear regression. We'll just try to have discussion around one important point that is about the assumptions. So we'll just try to understand those, and we may go through the same example which we did in Excel earlier. So we'll just try to repeat the same example. Whole agenda is to understand that particular topic in the sense the assumptions of linear regression in more depth. We'll just try to uh, go through that first, and then if you have any questions, you can ask me while
Okay, sir.
going.
Yes, sir.
So let me quickly share these slides. Yes. So this is one thing. Hope you can see my screen. Yes, now it is visible, I guess. Yes. Last time we had discussion on this few of the concepts, and at least we just try to discuss few points which are directly uh, important from this particular session's perspective. What are the points which are essential for understanding the assumptions of linear regression? So, as we had discussed earlier, so linear regression is basically uh, it just try to understand the relationship between dependent variable and independent variable, and then normally the kind of relationship they hold is linear. Okay. So there are like various kind of relationships are possible. So in the sense, it can be just algorithmic, it can be exponential. Okay. It depend on like how these two variables are moving together. Basically, the kind of equations they are bringing together. So now we are just discussing about the linear regression. So obviously, the relationship would be linear. So the kind of series it can build, that will be a linear one. Now, when we say that like we are interested in understanding linear regression, then obviously the first important criteria would be is to understand the uh, is to understand the uh, whether those two variables are having the linear relationship or not. So that is the first assumptions which is required, which we need to test. Okay, so that is one criteria which we the basic most criteria with which we start, right? So Amol, there is some disturbance from your side, I guess. I don't know why the disturbance is there. Yes, thank you. Yeah, so I just mentioned that the first most assumption then would be to understand whether relationship is linear or not. Okay, so that we take first. Then the second assumption is about multi collinearity. So what does it mean? It basically mean that like if there are, let's say, multiple independent variables, and if those multiple independent variables have highly if they are like highly correlated, then we say that it's a multi they are like showing multi collinearity, and we should discourage that because otherwise then both these variables will not be showing a different results, in the sense uh, they will be influencing each other. So basically we just try to avoid collinearity when working on linear regressions. So I consider that is like another important aspects which need to be taken into consideration before starting a linear regression. Now once we check the multicollinearity, the next assumption would be homoscedastic, or we call it homoscedastic city, or non-homoscedasticity. So this kind of so these specific assumptions, just trying to discuss it from the residuals perspective. uh, Before going ahead, like, can somebody tell me what is residual?
Difference between the actual and the predicted values.
Okay, okay, but is it just the actual and predicted values?
Indep-
Because your actual values may lie anywhere on the graph, and your predicted values might be uh, like you can surely calculate distance between your actual and the predicted one. Okay, but that is not necessarily the what I would say residual. So residual, basically, if you remember last time we had discussed. So let me just quickly come to that slide. Is it visible to you? Yes. So this is how, yes. So this is how residuals look like. So basically, you're just trying to say the distance from this line to this particular point is your residual. Okay. But
yes.
this particular line, this particular line is not showing all actual points. This is your regression line, and that regression line is going through the maximum point. It is trying to keep the maximum distance from your actual points. But in actual sense, it's
Yes.
not going through all the points, right? So then, what it basically means, that residual does not mean that it's a distance between your actual point and your predicted point. It is something else.
Between the regression line and the actual point.
Yes, yes. And then when you say your regression point, you're basically just trying to say that it's a mean value. It's the most probable value. It's a
Yes.
value which is like having the least distances. It's least deviation from your actual points. Okay. And
Yes.
then your residuals is basically the distance which you calculate from your regression line and then the actual predicted point. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So that is the residual for you. Now, if that is the residual, what we are just trying to understand whether that residual is same across all the points or there is certain variations in it. Okay. So your particular assumption is just trying to understand whether residual is same throughout or there is a variation in it.
There is variation.
Yes. So at least in this particular graph, we can say that it's having a variation. Now the question is, what would you prefer? In the sense that variation should not be there or that variation should be there. So are you looking for what is your preferred position? Is it homoscedasticity or heteroscedasticity?
In actual condition, there is a variation.
Right, right. Okay, so I'll just come back again. So what I'm just trying to ask here is like, you know that there is a variation, right? There is a variation from your actual point. There is a variation from the regression line. Okay, so your predicted values are little they are like distantly placed from your regression line. Now the question is, uh, the variation between your regression line and that actual points, okay, across all the predicted points, okay, do you want that to be same or you would prefer it to have certain variations in it? Okay, so let me repeat that particular question. So what I'm just trying to ask, like, let's say this is one point. Okay, now it is having, let's say, some distance, right? There's some variation. Now let's assume that this particular variation is 5 point. But if you see over here, then this variation is little less. Okay, let's assume that it's just 1 point. Okay, whereas this particular point, it might be having close to 10 units of variation. Okay, so ultimately what it says is there are like various points here, and the residuals are varying. Residuals are not same for all the predicted points, right?
Yes.
Now the question here is, what would you prefer? Do you want what is the ideal scenario for linear regression? In the sense, you want it to be the same, the residuals should be same, or the variation is fine.
Same should be same.
Okay. Okay. And then we say the variation is same. That is basically we are looking for the, we are basically talking about homoscedasticity,
Yes, sir.
right? So that is your preferred position. That is what you're saying.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Uh, Actually not. So we are basically looking for the uh, variations in it. In the sense, like we are looking for the different residuals, and then only you can say that it will follow the normal distribution. Otherwise, it won't follow normal distribution. If you have same kind of variation, then it will be going through the what I would say. Yeah, it's not having the uh, those values are like some way in some sense those are like following certain pattern. Okay, but
Yes.
that kind of pattern identification is not expected. Otherwise, then you will end up into a certain situation where like the certain patterns are coming over and over again, and then you will not be in better position to predict the values. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So that was about this particular thing. Then the next assumption is autocorrelations. So what basically autocorrelation says is that the same variable, okay, will be having certain. So it's basically just try to understand whether there is a relationship between the same variable or not. Okay, and then if let's say you put it on the time graph, then if after certain time the same relationship is repeating or not. That is what basically this particular assumption try to understand. Okay, so let me just do one thing. I'll try to,
Two waves are overlapping after some times.
yes, yes, yes. So let me just quickly share the screen. Mm, okay, so let it be, because that particular option is not available with these configurations, I guess. Yeah, so I'm just willing to share the whiteboard with you. Uh, and but I guess like it's not available here right now. That's fine. Let me see if I can use something else then. Yes. So I'm just sharing other screen. Just give me a minute. Yes. I hope the screen is visible now. Is it?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So now what it basically trying to say, let's say if you have this kind of Let's assume that this is your x and this is your y. Okay, and now you have some this kind of yes. So let's say you have this kind of graph basically. Sorry for my really
Okay, sir.
bad painting. Yes. Yeah. But let's assume that this is showing you some wave. Okay. But now, let's say after time elapse, okay. Let's assume that x-axis shows your time. Now, after time elapse, let's say it's showing you the next graph, and that graph basically starts from here. Now, I'm just willing to copy the same, but I don't know whether I'll be able to. Yeah. So basically, let's say if after certain time, if it follows the same graph, then ultimately it's coming with certain pattern. So that particular pattern is getting repeated after given certain amount of time. Okay. Now we are again landing in the same kind of thing where what we discussed earlier. In the sense, we'll be having the patterns here. Okay. And then if we have similar patterns, then again understanding the linear regression or identifying the correlationship between them, okay, or understanding the equation, identifying the equation would be little difficult because we are coming across same pattern again and again. So what ultimately it means is that like after certain values of your independent variables, you'll be coming across same values of your dependent variable. Okay. So even if let's say you have in your training data set, let's say you have 100 points. Okay. So 100 cases. But if the same repetition, if the same pattern is getting repeated after every 10 values, then basically you are effectively having just 10 data points to identify your equation. Okay. So,
Yes.
and as you know that like if the laser data points, if the laser data you have, the less predictions you can make. So it's the equation you are getting will be little weaker. You won't be having that strength in that particular equation. Okay. So ultimately, if your data is having autocorrelation, okay, then in that case, it will be really difficult for you to get good predictions because the equation it is generating is based on very limited values. Okay.
Okay.
So ultimately, you just try to avoid autocorrelations as well.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I hope you are with me until
Yes,
now.
sir. Yes,
Yes,
sir.
yes.
Perfect. So now let's come back to these presentation again. Yes. So we are done with this thing. Overfitting is not directly related to our assumptions for now. So let's skip that. Okay. So we discussed about this, uh, what I would say, assumptions. But let's say if we are not meeting some assumptions, then what we do in that case? Okay. Let's start with autocorrelation. If you figure out that there is autocorrelation, then what you do? What can we do? What are the possibilities? How can we deal with that?
No idea.
Okay. Okay. For any other assumption, okay, let's keep autocorrelation aside for now. So earlier we discussed about multicollinearity, and we don't want multicollinearity there. Okay. In that case, let's say if you come across a situation that variables are correlated, then what can you do that? In that case, Okay, so let me quickly share, and then we'll discuss further. So let's say in this particular case about multi-collinearity. So what we are basically saying is, if there are two independent variables and they are related to each other, okay, if this kind of scenario exists, then one possible solution would be to remove your independent variable which are high correlations. Okay, so basically what is happening, there are two variables which are having high correlation, so basically they are like moving with each other. So ultimately one variable will be effect, so one independent variable will be causing a influence on your dependent variable, and similarly the second independent variable is also causing effect on your dependent variables. So it's basically duplicating the effect. So if this kind of scenario exists, okay, so in that case you can simply remove one independent variable, so you won't consider that independent variable, right? Then simply you nullify that effect, and now multicollinearity does not exist because those two variables are not, out of those two variables there's only one variable now. Okay, it's the
Yes.
simplest solution,
Yes.
right? uh, the other possibility is that now you see that like these two variables, when we say that they are related, by the way, like before discussing ahead, how will you understand, how will you identify whether these two variables are showing multicollinearity or not? How will you assess that?
SPSS.
Yes, surely on spaces, but what will you, what statistical method you will use for that purpose? How will one understand whether two variables are going with each other or not?
Collinear, are they, whether they are collinear, will perform that correlation test.
Yes, exactly. So we'll just try to understand correlation coefficient here. Okay, so that is one possibility. There are other possibilities as well, but let's not get into other possibilities immediately. We can surely discuss that. But let's take this particular point ahead. So if you have two independent variables and they are showing high correlation coefficient, then you say that multicollinearity does exist. Now, one possibility we discuss, if you want to avoid this scenario, is to remove one independent variable, and you will be able to go ahead with the further test and you can plot the regression line. One possibility. The second possibility to address this situation is you can just remove the mean value from both the variables. Okay, so ultimately more the coefficient correlation coefficient, there are higher chances that they will be having the same distance from your mean value. Okay, so what you can do is you can simply remove mean from both the variables, then the remaining will be just the variations. The similarities I have already removed. Okay, so
Okay.
if similarities are removed, then both these two variables, okay, might not be correlated now. They will be showing different impact on your dependent variable. And now it is possible for you to use these two variables at the same time for identifying your regression line, for identifying your regression equation.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So these are two simple strategies. One, to remove one independent variable completely. Second, to remove mean value from both the independent variables.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Any other point until now? Any question?
Sir, how we deal with this autocorrelation? Means if we have autocorrelation, then how will we remove this?
Yes, yes. So now after this discussion, do you have any suggestion? What will you do? Any cases?
By calculating the mean and subtracting mean from the both both values.
Yeah, but right now we don't have two independent variables here, right? We are just dealing with the same independent variable, and we are trying to figure out like after a certain time whether the values, the predicted values, are repeating themselves or not. So where will you remove mean from? What will you remove it from? Yes. So I guess like the other strategy to address this kind of scenario is to uh, so basically what is happening, let's say you have a longer span, and within that you understand identify that like in this particular span whatever pattern you saw, that particular pattern is getting repeated after certain time. So there is no point you focusing on this entire time duration. What you should do is like you should focus on that particular pattern and try to have more values in that particular time range itself. Okay, so instead of having 100 values which are like spread across this particular timeline, instead of that you will reduce the timeline to just that particular pattern, and then we'll try to have 100 values which are like ranging within this. And now this particular range will be able to identify your pattern or identify your regression equation in a better way, because now you have more values which are available in the same pattern, right? So ultimately what you do is you, instead of having all values which are like spread across the time series, you reduce those particular thing, and in particular time range you try to have more values. So let me give a very practical example. I consider that it's a little abstract to discuss this in theory. Let's try to understand a practical example. Mm, let's say firstly let me tell you practically like how this autocorrelation affect. Okay, let's say you have Amazon for example is just trying to analyze their sales. Okay, and then when they plot it for last 5 years, they realize that after like during certain festive season, they are having the similar kind of sales of one particular product. Let's say um, their Diwali lanterns. Okay, so they figure out that during the month of November, October, okay, they are having a good sale of only those particular products. Okay, obviously it will be there because every year we have Diwali, and during that particular Diwali, there are certain items which will be sold more. Okay, so that particular pattern is getting repeated every year during October and November. Okay, now if you want to use this data for last 5 years and then predict and then figure out the regression line, then obviously this particular range is coming every year. Okay, and that obviously then because of that the effect is reflected in your regression line. Okay, now
Yeah.
you are not interested in uh, these repetitions which you are observing every year, because it's just a repetition which is like amplifying effect in the your regression line. Now let's say uh, instead of that, if you figure out that like let's take values only for 1 year, starting from December to next December. Okay, now in this particular year there are no chance that those uh, peaks will be repeated. Those peaks will come but only once. And what you will do, you will just try to take maximum number of data points in that particular range, in that particular year. So now whatever data you are collecting, okay, that data will be requested for only 1 year. But now for that 1 year, you will request for 10,000 different data points. And now it will be easier for you to predict your regression line.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. So basically, ultimately, strategy is to reduce your time range and then do
Right.
the regression line for that particular range and with the more number of variables.
Yes.
Sorry, more number of data points.
Data points. Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Any other question?
No.
No, sir.
Yes. Okay.
How does it affect if we make our regression equation for 5 years, like in this example? Means how does it affect our regression equation?
Yeah.
If we
So
have
basically, that particular that range is showing a surge, right? It's showing a peak. And then if you're having a peak during that particular time span, then it's basically influencing, it's basically reducing effect of the remaining range. Okay. Throughout the year, sale of that particular product is very less. Okay. So it's not having any effect throughout the year. But what it is showing now is that in this particular range, it will be having a complete a huge increase in the product sale. And now if somebody start observing it every year, okay, so based on that, what prediction you are making, you are basically just trying to your regression line will say that uh, sale will is huge in entire 5 years. You will get a huge number of sale, huge amount of sale, but which is not fact. It's basically that only during that particular time span that sale was huge. It does not talk about the entire year, because that is particular pattern which is like coming and then repeating every time now and then,
okay, sir.
right?
Yes, sir.
Hmm? Yes. Yes. Okay. Let's do one thing. Just couple of slides more, and then we will just go to Excel and we'll try to execute few things.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So before starting that discussion, before coming to those slides, uh, one more point we had discussed earlier, and that was about the R square. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So can you just tell me like what is R square then?
Sir,
Mhm.
distance from estimated points to our actual points divided. I guess from estimated points minus mean divided by actual points minus mean. This is the formula for R square.
Okay. Yeah. So let's come to formula a little later. So before that, I just thought to quickly understand what is R square. So why we need R square basically. Okay. So as we had discussed earlier, it is so once you plot your line, after that you need to understand how good that particular line is. Okay.
Okay, it
And
gives the yes, yes. It gives the explained means explanation to the means how much dependent variable variation in dependent variable is explained by our independent variable. It gives that.
yes, yes. So it's basically explanation of the variation.
Yes, sir.
So one unit change in variation of dependent variable, what effect it will have on the variation in dependent variable.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So that is basically it is trying to show. And normally it is measured in the percentages. So 0% will represent that like there is no relationship. Okay. Even if there is a variation in independent variable does not mean it will reflect on the variation in dependent variable. Okay. Whereas if we have 100% R square, then it will say that like the entire variation in dependent variable is explained by the variation in independent variable.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Uh, Now, as you were mentioning, it is shown by this particular equation. So as you can see that towards the end of the slide, there is a certain equation which is trying to explain like how to calculate the R square. So we'll be doing it practically through that particular example. We'll be doing it in the Excel sheet. But before going to that, I just want to understand few things like how we define rate of change. So let's
Like
say Excel. Yeah, please.
in Excel, sir.
Not in Excel in general. I'm just trying to understand. Let's say, for example,
Oh,
we say acceleration is the rate of change of your speed. Okay. So now in theory, that's perfectly fine. But what does it exactly mean?
it is
Rate.
actually slope of the line.
Yes. Yes. Surely it is slope of your line. Perfect. Yeah. So let me just quickly take this particular thing. Okay. So this one particular um, slide try to help you understand how to interpret rate. Okay. So rate is equal to some value divided some variable divided by the other variable. Okay. So in
Yes.
this particular case, we are taking price divided by quantity, and it will show you the rate of certain object, certain item.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Let's say I have taken one example here. Like if it's say you're somebody's selling five balls at the cost of 200 rupees, then basically the rate of ball is 40 rupees, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. But practically what it is basically saying that one quantity, okay, there will be variation of 40 in the price. In the sense, if instead of one quantity you make it two, then the price will be 40 and 40, which is 80 rupees.
Yes. There is a constant change
Yes.
in the
Yes.
price or anything.
Yes. Yes. So it's basically one unit change in one variable will be reflected in the other variable, and then that amount will be called as rate.
Yes.
Okay. Now, now you can come back to the equation of r square, which is shown over here. So r square is equal to 1 minus total variation divided by total unexplained variation. Okay. And now, which is again explained over here, as you can see, that total variation divided by total unexplained variation. And then I'm just trying to move that r square on the other side. Okay. So here, if you say that unexplained variation, one unit change in unexplained variation will show the change in total variation. So basically, whatever variation you are getting, whatever unexplained variation in the sense, the explanation through independent variable, okay, that will be reflected in your dependent variable. It is basically shown by this particular equation on your left hand side.
Yes,
So
sir.
do you think enough?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes.
Now, one last important point. Basically, you are interested in understanding the goodness of fit. Okay. Right now, we are just discussing in terms of variations. So, which is actually uh, it's basically a negative representation, right? So, you're just trying to understand how, like, whether there is a variation in your predicted values and the actual values. Okay. And then when you are discussing about the variation, then you are basically talking about that. Uh, it's not a good thing to have large variations, right? You're
Yes, sir.
basically interested in the interested if all predicted values will be actually uh, giving you the value which has occurred earlier, in the sense the actual values,
Yes, sir.
and in that case variation will be zero. So you are basically looking for that kind of scenario, so that is the ideal one, right? But now, if you want to understand the goodness of fit, then you are basically not interested in variation. You are interested in understanding how less is the variation. Okay, you are basically interested in the negative of that particular variation. So because of that, then r square will be 1
More.
minus, yes, 1 minus this explanation of variations.
Yes, sir.
So r square will then in a positive term will help you understand how good is your regression line.
Yes, yeah.
Because of that, the higher the r square, the better it is for you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes. So with this, we can just quickly move ahead. Until now, like, are you with me? Is like any question on this thing?
No, sir.
Perfect.
No.
So now let me just quickly open Excel sheet and then we'll just try to run few things over there. Yes. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So here you can see that like there are two variables. One is interest rate and the other is median home price. Okay. And third one is year. So obviously we won't be dealing anything with year here. So we are interested basically in these two variables. So one is interest rate, the other is home price. Now we just want to understand how these two variables are going with each other, and the secondly if we can predict the future values using this particular thing. So the let's first start with the assumption. Okay, so the first assumption we are interested in understanding is the linearity. So we want to understand whether two variables are moving with each other or not, or they're like showing the linear relationship or not. And then the best way to understand that particular thing is to plot them on the graph. Okay,
Yes, sir.
plot the scatter graph. Then we will get basically if we get a straight line, then those are like highly linear one. They're having a highly linear relationship. But if you are not having that, then we can say that like they are less linearly related. Okay. The first thing, let's try to plot the scatter graph. Okay. Now this kind of graph we are getting. Now using this, like I can say that they're having some linearity. Okay, obviously there are deviations here you can see. Okay, but there is some kind of linearity does exist between these two variables.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. Now we will just try to understand the other aspects as well. So let's do one thing. We'll just try to figure out the equation, at least like based on these values. And for that particular thing, we can just try to get the trend line. So for getting trend line, you just need to click on any of the point. Okay, if you right click on that particular point, then you will get this menu, and there is add trend line is the option. Okay, and then as we were like looking for the linear relationship, then obviously you just simply click on the linear relationship. These are another relationship available between variables. It could be exponential, logarithmic, polynomial. Okay, other possibilities are also there, but right now this data is linear, so we'll just click on linear. Okay, and then it will show us this particular line. So this is the trend line we are getting with this value, and then it will be showing that now as we had discussed earlier about the residuals and all those things. So all those things can be calculated from here, right? Now one thing we are interested in understanding is the equation. Okay, so we want to understand the equation. How will we do that? So for that purpose, uh, you just need to scroll down, and there is one option here. Okay. If you click on display equation on chart, then it will show you the equation. And I also clicked on one option, that is display R squared value on chart. Okay. So now I have R square and equation as well. Now simply I can use this particular equation to plot my to get my predicted values, and then based using those predicted values I can calculate R square, and then I can just simply try to match whether it is coming to the same value or not. Okay, so this one possibility is there. Ultimately this particular the simplest exercise was to identify the equation. Okay, and this is the kind of equation we are getting. Okay, now before going ahead, uh, other assumptions also need to be tested, and then how you can test those assumptions. Let's say you want to understand multicollinearity. How will we test that? I guess Amol had already suggested something.
Yes, collinearity, sir.
Yes.
Correlation.
Yes. So let's try to figure out correlation coefficient. Any idea like how to do that?
Yes, sir. We have that option. Yes, in analysis.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Uh, Correlation will be here. Scroll down. Yes. Yes.
Let's mention the input
Input
range.
range will be our interest rate or total. Okay, interest rate. Yes.
Yes. That's it. Obviously, this right now we are just trying to understand correlationship with the same variable.
Yes.
Then obviously when we have correlationship with same variable, it will be
One.
1.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So then we need to go back, and we need to identify correlation between two variables and not one.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So then now instead of selecting just one, we'll select two.
Okay.
And let's do one thing. Let's select this two. Okay. The first column also, first row will also select, and then we'll just mention that it shows the labels. So that will get the name of variables here. So as you can see that now we have name of variables as well.
Yes.
Okay. Now this particular values shows you the relationship between interest rates and the home price. Okay. So what do you feel after looking at this particular value? What can you say?
And if negative correlation means
Okay, one thing,
If,
it's a negative correlation. Yeah.
if interest rate increases, the home prices decreases.
Right. Perfect. And then when value is 0.6, 0.62, okay, so it's fairly a good correlation.
Yes, yeah.
Above, it's not about 7, so we cannot say that's highly correlated, but it's moderately correlated for sure.
yes.
Right? Yes. So then basically we can say that multicollinearity does exist here.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Yeah. And then which is not a good condition for us. Then we need to identify, we need to implement certain strategies to reduce this multicollinearity, one thing. Or if it is high, it is not high in this particular case, but let's assume that if you had identified that it's highly correlated, so in that case you will have to figure out alternative strategies. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Any other assumptions you want to test? we haven't tested for normality. Okay, that is one thing which is also important. So that also one thing you need to test. And then again, for normal distribution, you need to plot it again on graph, and then you can identify. But apart from graphs, there are other possibilities. If you're working on SPSS, then you can just simply plot. You can use QQ-plot. That is one option. Or otherwise, then you can also run to test to understand the normality.
Otherwise, cuteness and curtosis we can decide.
Yes, yes, that is also one possibility, right? Yes. So I guess it's almost 11 o'clock. Let's try to sum up. So we just today tried to understand the assumptions which we need to test before going ahead and doing the linear regression. Okay. So out of that, the couple of important assumptions are like the multicollinearity, auto collinearity, okay, auto relationship. These things we just try to understand using certain tests, and then if we come across any of if we figure out the data is not following any of the assumptions, then we need to implement certain strategies to make sure that those particular uh, that particular data set comply with the assumption. But if it is not possible, then you don't go ahead with the linear regression. Instead of that, then you go with the non-linear regression. And when I say non-linear regression, I basically say that you can use exponential one, you can use the logarithmic one, you can use the polynomial one. Okay, it really depends on what kind of data you have, and then which pattern it is following.
Okay.
So ultimately, this is important. You need to test your assumptions first. You need to make sure that your data set comply with the assumptions. But if it is not complying at all, then in that case, you look for other kind of regressions. Right?
Yes.
Yes. So let's stop here for today. In next session, we'll discuss multi linear regression. Okay, and then during that we also try to implement it using Python.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. You already tried it because like I had requested everybody to try that out.
Sir, actually, sir, we are not very much aware of this Python and
Okay.
all thing. That's why we were working on pandas and numpys, means basic understanding about what are the functions in it. That's why it
Okay.
took time. We didn't try it for multi like collinear.
Right, right. No issues. So during next session, we'll just try to implement it in the classroom. Okay. And then we will go ahead after that.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Perfect. Yes.
Yes.
Okay then. Bye bye. Good night.
Thank you,
Yes,
sir.
sir. Good night.
Bye bye. Good night.